Welcome to Dark at Dark at Dark at Dark at
Open your mind.
Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. The protester. The protester. The protester. Dark Exodus. Open your mind.
No.
Yeah, X.
You know.
Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. You understand? Yeah, X.
Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Proper Thought series right here on the old TPOT YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why you are here. Yeah, we late as hell, y'all, because you know X was fucking around. God damn it. I'm not even going to make an excuse for it. I was just fucking off tonight, and fucking that's why I'm late. But we here. And I got some all-stars coming through, and they starting to file in now. I see my brother Loadcast down there. I see Lady Ruby. Tonight, as you can see from the title, here on Dark Exodus Live, we're going to be talking about maturity and the growth of Black folks. So if you are of the faint of heart, if you have a PG brain, you might want to turn this off right now. Also, if you have children around and you're playing the computer loud, you might want to put the kids to bed. Let me give my disclaimer. The following broadcast is not suitable for young viewers. Parental discretion is advised. Fair warning. But anyway, also, I want to thank everybody for the donations last night. Y'all know I got to start the show off with that. I appreciate all the donations from last night. Those of you who donated, you know who you are. I appreciate y'all, man. I do. I mean, I say this every night I come on, and I'm going to keep saying it as long as I'm alive and long as I'm on YouTube. I mean, because you don't have to spend your hard-earned coins on this platform, but you choose to do so. All right. And it is appreciated, man, because I appreciate y'all. I consider all of you supporters of this platform because y'all know this platform isn't big, but the people who follow it have big minds and big hearts. And I appreciate y'all, man. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm grateful. And I thank you. I thank you all. But anyway, here on Dark Exodus Live tonight, we're going to be talking about the maturity and the growth of Black folks, because I was talking to some of my compadres the other day, and we came up with this title because, see, what a lot of you don't know is that OX talks to people on YouTube, outside of YouTube. And I was talking to a couple of my compadres yesterday, and we decided that we would go ahead and talk about this. So let me go ahead and say what's up to Brother Lowcast. Brother Lowcast, what's good, man?
Hey, what's going on, TPOT? How you doing tonight?
Good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Lady Ruby, what's good?
Oh, good evening, sir. Glad to be here. Glad for this topic tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I got a few more guests that might be coming through tonight, some surprise guests. So you'll see people popping in and out tonight. I'm trying to get mine. I know you watching, Doc. I'm trying to get my psychologist friend to come on here tonight. So she might pop up tonight as well.
Ooh, we're going to have another psychology person up on here, huh?
Uh-huh. Doc, I know you watching too, because we just spoke not too long ago. I know you watching. So
yeah, I hope she show up too.
Make some time for a brother, Doc. All right. Yeah, so this is the thing, because we spoke, the other day, Lady Ruby, you and I, for a few moments. And I think that there is some lack of maturity. Not with all of us, not with most of us, but there is a certain segment of Black society that kind of lacks maturity. I mean, we can see that shit in the actions. We can see that shit in the outcomes. We can see that in how some people choose to live. Now, people will say, "Oh, you can't judge them," but yes, the hell we can. Yes, we can. We can. God damn it, we can judge. Okay, we judge all the time. All right. We make judgments all day long, every day of our life. So that whole, oh, don't judge people shit is nonsense. That's all we do on YouTube is make damn judgments. So people are always running that don't judge crap. Okay. Until it's something that they want to judge somebody on. So I ain't even trying to hear that. But anyway, we see a lack of maturity. Especially when you have people raising children when they're still children themselves. Now, I know many of us, if not most of us, know someone who had a baby when they was way too young. Okay. I know women who had babies, man, when I was coming up. I knew women who had babies when they were like 14, 15, 16, and let us be clear. At those ages, your ass ain't ready for a baby. Okay. You're just not. I don't care what you say, you're not. All right. You are too immature to have the life of another human being in your hands, especially in your immature ass hands. Okay. You're just too immature. I don't care what you tell me or what kind of classes you took or how good a mama you had to help you or how good a grandmama you had to help you. When you're 13, 14, 15, 16, you're too young to be having a human life that you're responsible for because your black ass ain't even responsible for your own life. But I digress. That's just one instance of immaturity in Black society. Because if I'm a 14-year-old parent and I'm responsible for a child, how on earth am I going to raise that child to be a mature person or have them grow into maturity when I'm immature myself? Now, like I said, that's just one instance, but we find ourselves now in the age of media, all right? And I think that media has also caused people to be a lot less mature as well. I believe that when you look on Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram, and you see these 50-year-old women and these 40-year-old women acting like they're 20, acting like they're 15. These people are immature. Okay, let us be clear. You can call it what you want to call it. I call it immaturity. Now, I'm giving y'all 2 or 3 examples. Okay, but we haven't even got into it yet because, see, we just getting started. What's good, brother Art? I'm about to send you the link too, my brother. Don't go nowhere. So, Lady Ruby, I want to start with you. Now, you're a female, right? So, when you see this kind of stuff, right? When you see this kind of stuff, what do you think when you see this this immature? Because let us be clear. I think that there's more immaturity running through the ranks of the women as opposed to men. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some immature ass brothers out there too, but I think it's a little more in your face. It's a little more visual with the women. So, what do you think when you see this immature crap on media?
All right. Now, first of all, I got to say that I actually don't think there are more immature women. I just think that the way that women show their immaturity, as you said, is more in your face. It's more patently obvious that they're immature, that they're reaching, that they're still lost in some messed up high school girl kind of mentality where they think somehow or another, if they show enough ass and show enough tits and get some male sexual validation, that it's going to make up for whatever they lost out in high school. That's kind of what I think about these women. A lot of those women, they were either like the high school cheerleader and they thought they were going to be something and it didn't pan out for them. And so they're still looking to try to get back the old glory days, like that song says, in high school, you were the man, homie. What the fuck happened to you? It's kind of like that. You used to be hot shit. The men flocked around you. Everyone thought you were going to get the millionaire husband and whatever. And then you messed up your life somehow. And it didn't pan out for you. Now you got 5 kids, you're single, can't keep a man for shit, haven't figured out anything, haven't grown up at all. You're still lost in high school. And the other ones are the ones that in high school were nothing. They were, the men didn't pay attention to them. They tried to do things right. And, they got shamed by the popular girls and whatever. And so they figured out, hey, there's social media now. I could put my boobs on and I could turn on filters, and all of a sudden, hey, I could be a hot girl. I can get all that validation I missed out in high school. So one way or the other, when I see these women, what I see are little girls who failed to mature into women because they got stuck somewhere in high school. They got stuck in that area of development you're supposed to grow out of and become a woman, become a wife, become a leader of other women. They got lost where they thought, hey, that fishbowl of high school was supposed to last forever, and it didn't. And they threw their whole lives away on that idea.
All right. Well, I'm gonna swing it over to Brother Loadcast. You heard what Lady Ruby said, that she doesn't necessarily think that it's more so the women, but she does agree that it's more in your face with the women. So, what's your take on it, brother?
Let's start there. I would say it this way: is that.
And by the way, man, this damn what you got going on here, man, is ill, man. I'm liking this shit, man. But
it really is. It's awesome.
Carry on, brother.
Thanks. No, my thing is that it's like this here with me. I notice that women do have immaturity to them, but I do believe, like, for example, let's say that in the same situation, right? You also had a male. I strongly believe that both male and female have different levels of immaturity, and that's based on, you're going to get the male version or the female's version of it, because both of them interact with the world differently. But I will say this here is that there are more women, from my perspective of being a male, that are more immature than, well, hell, let me just tell the truth. It's both of these motherfuckers. Both of us are immature as hell. But to really answer your question, dude, the easiest way for me to say it is that I think a lot of it goes back down to parenting. And I do believe that at one point we've had a younger generation of parents over time. And that is really what you're looking at this time. And then, over time, things, the do's and don'ts of male and female interactions, or how a woman should behave and how a male should behave, have become broken. They've become broken over time. And there's a lot of values that have not been passed on to the next generation. That's about the easiest way for me to answer your question.
Well, I absolutely agree. I mean, and I think media, man, has exasperated it, man. I think media has made it worse.
When it comes down to our people, bro, a lot of our people consume a lot of television. And in my opinion, I think a lot of women watch more television than men do.
Yeah.
And I will tell this to people, no matter how much they want to believe in their own psyche, that as much as no matter how much a person want to believe that it's only entertainment, it's not only entertainment when it comes down to the human consciousness. I always tell people this here, that no matter what you see here, whatever you see here, main two inputs, or whatever you see and you're going to hear, all right, those become reference points for you when it comes down to if you find yourself in a situation. And most of the time, people don't realize that they do act out some of these characteristics that they see on television.
If I could add something here, because I was watching a lecture yesterday, and it was by a gentleman named Alain de Botton, I think is how you pronounce that. Anyway, and his lectures are basically on pessimism and how optimism is ruining society. So it's ruining this idea of romanticism is all based on optimism, for example. These women who refuse to grow out of that idea that you show boobs and ass and whatever to get attention, and that's all you should focus on. That's all optimism, because if you think about it, before there was the internet, people knew it's either you had it or you didn't. And by the time you hit 18, your looks were already going to be fading. You better find yourself a husband. If you get to 25, you're an old maid. It is what it is, right? But then all of a sudden, there's social media, not just the news, but now there's social media, and people are being plucked out of obscurity for having an ass suddenly. And they might be 34 and suddenly they're Instagram famous. Suddenly they're getting all this validation that they didn't get. So there's all this optimism that suddenly that could be you. Some rap star could pick you. Some validation could come from some random girls because, you know, you see it around you everywhere. And so instead of you being realistic or even pessimistic.
Social media is no different than television.
Oh, you know what? It is different though, because on television, we'd have to be plucked out of obscurity in order to get onto television. I can pluck myself out of obscurity.
The only difference is that you see normal people emulating the same thing.
Well, the difference is I can do it. I don't have to wait for someone
because
to
you see another person who looks just like you and you compare yourself to that person. And yes, you will probably emulate what you've already seen.
Right. But see, that's the point. Is before we used to emulate it, say on the street corner or whatever. Now I can go start a YouTube channel or an Instagram account or whatever, and I could potentially have millions of followers tomorrow too. I don't have to get signed by, you know, one of the 10 networks or whatever. There's no limitations anymore. You can just try it yourself. Right.
There's a simple way of looking at it. If you go to Instagram right now, I could find more women who are doing booty presentations than doing any other type of presentation on social media.
Exactly.
But here's the thing about it. See, it goes back to what I was saying again, monkey see, monkey do. Input, output. People can only go by lines of reference of what they've been exposed to. Human beings, as much as you don't want to believe it, you're no different than any other machine that a man can build.
Exactly.
The thing about it is that you end up with you end up with a handful of varieties and a mass amount of people following those same, who are just basically redundantly reacting on this, repeating the same actions that they've seen on limited variety. If I'm making any sense to you.
No, brother, options. we 100% are agreeing. I think the only thing that I'm saying is that now with social media, there's the added idea that rather than being the 1 in a million who gets picked up by that basketball star, you can put yourself out there and be now the 1 in 10,000 who gets a million Instagram followers and you get paid just because you have a nice ass, which, you know, 20 years ago, that wasn't an option. That's all I'm saying is there's more ways of basically exploiting yourself.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
So do you think that, well, let me ask both of you this. Do you believe that we would be where we are now if we didn't have media, the way we have media right now? Would we be the same way? I mean, because when you look around, right, and you see a lot of immature shit, all right? You see a lot of immature shit. Do you think it would be as bad as it is now if it wasn't for media? Say they had us on an island, Black folks island, a Negro island.
No, it wouldn't be as bad.
Oh man, I missed Negro Island. That was a great episode, Brother X.
Negro Island. I'm sending you all to Negro Island.
I love Blackville, but you know what? No, of course it wouldn't be. Of course it wouldn't be, because the real social order rules would apply. I mean, they still apply right now in real life when you go hit the block, when you really go to work, when you go to school or whatever, except now you can go online and you can be whoever the hell you want. You can totally misrepresent yourself and a million people in, you know, one state over actually believe you.
Okay. But do you ever notice, you know, not just on media, but with people that you know? I know I do, people that I know. I look up and I see them doing shit that is like so juvenile. It's like, you know, and they're my age, you know, they're in their 40s and 50s and shit. And I look at them and I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? You know, this is some shit you know, we did when we were like 20, you know, and
should have grown out of, right?
Yeah. And they're still doing the shit.
Well, I would say this here is that entertainment has allowed us to prolong childhood.
You think?
Well, we know. Come on now.
We all buy into the minstrel show. That's what it comes down to. I'm sorry, but we do. Because it's not like we're all buying into channels like Brother X. Let's all come here. Let's really, you know, think, let's represent positive men and positive women and positive experiences. Let's talk about getting the Black family back together. No. We are perfectly okay to go out there and clown ourselves and, put ourselves out there as every terrible stereotype, all to get the attention, to get the likes and the follows and the subscribers and the comments, to try to get a little bit of pocket change in most cases. And it wouldn't be possible for us to do this to ourselves on this mass scale that we do it if it wasn't for social media. How would you?
So basically, a lot of us are just immature and we're attention whores. That's what you're saying? We're a bunch of attention whores.
We're a bunch of attention whores who are still 17 in our minds. Absolutely.
Wow.
I would take away this one part, because I think by us saying that we're attention whoring, that could be misleading for some people. You're just going along with social norms.
But see, you know what, though? I've actually watched, there are several documentaries now coming out about Instagram and all these things and Facebook. And what it comes down to is the likes. And I mean, everyone's chasing likes, everyone's chasing followers, everyone's chasing subscribers, everyone's chasing comments, everyone's chasing validation. So even if it's the social norm to do that, it's the social norm to be an attention whore. And the more attention you have, the more validation you're getting from others, the better you are, the better you can feel about yourself. Validation's not coming from within, which is what adults do. It's coming from outside, which is what teenagers do.
So is being hungry for attention, is that mature? Is that a mature trait to be, attention hungry? Do you think?
Well, I would say this here is that the likes, the thumbs ups, the comments, and I'm only speaking for myself, it actually gives a form of gratification. And I think what happens is over time, even mainly with with women, it's an easy way of getting validation, as opposed to where you would get the validation by putting on something or walking out into the real world, and someone saying, "Hey, how you doing?" or talking to you for a moment. The same validation, the same. Come on, help me out here, sis. You know the word I'm looking for.
Validation would have been the word I was thinking you were looking for.
Well, secure, make you feel secure for the day. Not to say make you feel so valid. The security that women sometimes y'all get from that type of get from it. I think it's really no different, but the only difference is you're getting the digital version of it, and the digital version about it is more, dare I say, claustrophobic, because you don't really have to interact with real people. You get to interact with a screen, and then you can pick and choose who you choose to interact with. As opposed to going out in the street and sometimes have to face the real world and deal with involuntary interaction sometimes.
I think there's a danger to it, though, and I'm going to go into that later. But I want to go to my brother Art. What's good, man?
What's going on, people?
Oh, hey, brother Art. How you doing, big bro?
Let me
ask brother Art, because brother Art is an educator, so he deals with young folks, so he gets to see a lot of young folks, and I want to ask him, do you find yourself encountering older folks who are like adults our age? Do some of them remind you of the young folks that you teach and instruct?
Man, I'm gonna tell you straight up, there's a lot of teachers that are just as immature than the students. It's pretty
Preach.
Bad. Look at those Florida ladies alone. Remember we talked about that. Some of these people do have childlike tendencies and connect and try to have their way with these children. That's just, and the fact is that they're in a position of power, so they can go ahead and emulate their fantasies. Mainly, like you were talking, I think you were talking about, the difference between the males and the females. I think they just take turns. One season is the males and the season is the females. Right now, you do have a lot of sassy males. A lot of sassy, play with their braids and back talk you, where you have a lot of females that jump on task. I'm talking about in the schools.
Yeah,
Yeah.
aggressive.
Yeah, they're very aggressive. I mean, I feel like throwing a ball with them, like go catch, that kind of thing. And these are females, but yet they're
Mm-hmm.
very tenacious about getting something done, where you have to really talk to a 6 foot, um, 250 pound high school student into doing something responsible, and he's being sassy and sassy. So I think I mean, I heard it's global. It's not just here, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to consider that, people try to say that's kids today, but food is different, media is different. Even just a lot of our parents are from the hip hop generation. So you have a lot of these factors that at least get you to understand how to approach this, because just because it's happening doesn't mean that you just have to just put your hands to the side. You got to do something.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, do you folks believe that the lack the lack of maturity in people, is that something that kind of comes along as they become an adult, or were they just naturally immature coming up as a child and they just never matured? They grew, but they never matured. Which one do you think it is?
I'll make it short. I'll make mine real short. When I first got on your panel, X, we were talking about how the children, or I guess the youth today, the stuff that they're supposed to be learning at 18, they're learning at 30. Whereas in our generation, stuff we supposed to be learning at 18, we probably learn at 23, 24.
Mm,
So it seems like the older, the further out we're getting, the larger the gap is. So I think that's the part that needs to be addressed so you can close that gap more. Because, even if you look at politics, when Obama was president, I'm not really Obama, what do you call it? I'm not an RBR, let's just say that.
mm.
But
Fanatic.
but what I did witness, they said we need a president, we don't need a professor.
Mm.
Remember that?
Yes, I
So they
remember.
assume
I
that
remember.
a president's supposed to be the guy you can have a beer with, or a guy that's supposed to be the common man you can go fishing with. But someone that was intellectual and breaking things down, and that kind of thing, assertive, that seemed like to be the enemy. So it's almost like intelligence was like, and this is we're talking about presidential.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligence was more shut down, where we wanted the popular people, so that's where you had the Tea Party, and then you had Sarah Palin emerging with her dumb ass. So you
Mm.
had all these different people emerging based on them, just being a damn near caveman. So we need to bring intelligence more on a popular level to where it could be evened out, because you do need the common man on an equal footing as the intelligent person. You need to be able to make a balance.
What I think has happened a lot. Art, were you finished? I'm sorry.
I'm done. I'm done.
What I think has happened is that society has gone through a major transformation over in the last 30 years. Like when I was growing up, kids got out on Christmas Day. We got out and we rode on BMXs. We rode through the neighborhood with our new bikes, right? You might have scraped. You learned how to ride. You scraped your knee. You fell down. You learned the basics of how to handle yourself. You know, girls same way too. Girls would interact with other girls out in the open, out in the neighborhood. You don't see that anymore. And I think what has happened is that kids are now being kind of confined to their homes more so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Parents are you have two parents working, and the children are raising themselves, and a lot of the interactions and disciplines and instructions they would have gotten on a more of like to say maybe a 12-hour or 18-hour day, 24 hours a day supervision they would get, they're not getting that.
You said it
And what
earlier,
you,
Locas.
huh?
You said it earlier that social when the parents are working. They got the social media to raise them. That's the parent.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
So
ahead.
now the new mother is the digital age,
Mm-hmm.
is the web. You know?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, the web is an organism to itself.
Yeah.
Um, the thing about it is that I do believe when it comes down to our culture that we do see these things and we acknowledge them and we make our own adjustments, make our own changes for our own future. You know, because if you see this happen on a global level, then ask yourself where is it really what the future is going to look like. You know, and personally, I look at it this way: if you want to get a good leg up on control of the future, raise your kids. You know,
Mm-hmm.
outside of it. Now, other
Mm-hmm.
environments, I don't want to say any particular people, they're aware of this, and they do their
Mm-hmm.
best to keep their children under some type of supervision on a 24 hours a day with trusted adults. In our environment, if you send your kids to public schools, I don't want to
Yeah.
say too much, but you already know, dude. That's basically like sending your kids to stockade for
Right.
6 hours a day. They got a few trustees, they got a few wardens walking around, and they're not going to do too much because of potential liabilities. You know, it's
Lunchtime is
not it's
brutal.
it's not uncommon to see little girls twerking and nobody stops them. No female adults walk up to them and say, "Hey, you need to stop that," and explain to them the behaviors of a woman, of a young woman of their age, and what they're really suggesting when they're, based on the behaviors. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
Think
then with the
about them high
boys,
school
it's the
couples.
same way too. Boys, boys and girls do go through their emotional stages, but then there has to be a male to kind of let the boys know, hey, I understand what you're going through, but brother or young man, this is what you have. This is how you have to handle it. Nobody's able to tell them that. And then plus, on top of it, when you put males in single and one-sided homes with a single-sided role model, what do you think they're going to emulate? This goes back to what we were talking about before. It's emulation. Human beings emulate what they see. They mimic what they see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, if I could add in here. So the thing is, I'm a Zennial. Right? I was born in 1984. So I was
Well, wait a
originally.
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait
She
a
made her
minute. Wait a
own.
minute.
She made her own little section. Go
What
ahead.
the hell is a zennial? I've heard you
I'm going to
say
explain
this
it to you.
so many
Okay, I'll
times
explain. I'll
before.
explain. So what happens is, right? So you think about Generation X, right? They were born and raised with beliefs and core values, hopefully, if they were raised properly,
I'll
that then
explain it to you when you
applied.
finish.
Okay, that then applied to the real world and how to function in it, when they got to 18, 19, 20, 21, right? So the Zennial, we're on the border technically, right? The information boom happened when we were still young, before we became of age. But the thing is, we were born and raised with the Generation X ideals. And so how do you function in this world? How do you become successful in it? The skills that you require, so on and so forth. We were born and raised under the Generation X ideals. And then we get to middle school, high school, the information boom happens, and everyone kind of forgot to teach us how to function in this new world, where by the time we're 21, all those skills we have about printing out our resume, the kind of paper that you should use, the weight, and how you should present yourself when you go bring your resume into somewhere. And oh, wait, you don't apply to places like that anymore. Now you have to use online, right? So those people who are just 5-6 years younger than us, they didn't have a transitional phase, because when they were little kids, this information boom already happened. They were already being taught the new ways. So it's basically kind of like that place where old school childhood and then new school adulthood, and there was just the place where a lot of us got lost. That's basically a Zennial. And so I say that now to say that I look at my generation, this 5-6 years around me or so, and I find that whether they came from single parent homes, from old parents, young parents, 2-parent homes, and whatever, we have a general immaturity in this age category, somewhere from about 30 years old to about 38 years old or so, where we're all just really immature. And so when I look at it, I'm like, the only thing I can say is not that we were born that way. We weren't. I think there's a lot of factors that came in there with the way that we were raised, or not raised in some cases. I mean, a lot of us were latchkey kids, for example. A lot of us had rules, but we also had, say, young parents. I had teen parents who really tried, but at the same time, if you are a teenager, so you're still trying to get your education, you're trying to work full time, you're trying to take care of your kids and whatever, you tell them what to do, but are you sitting down and making sure they actually did it? You know what I
Can
mean?
I
Are
ask you a
you
question?
holding them accountable?
Do you remember your great grandparents?
Actually, yeah, I would. Well, one of them was still alive in my childhood. Yes.
Well, I knew all of mine. I think that was part of the benefit. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. Now, if you want to look at it from an astrological signs and symbols thing,
Mm-hmm.
the year 1979, actually 1980. When you talk about it in the astrological clocks, you're talking about when the clock strikes 12. That was the cutoff for the spiritual age.
Mm-hmm.
And that a lot of anybody born in the year of 1980 were cut off from the spiritual age of spirituality, so to speak.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to go into too many details, but that's part of what I think. I'm not blaming it on spirituality, but I think the sign what it was trying to point off is that the world was changing, and that time was going to change, and that it has nothing to do with God, as some people like to hear spirituality, but just meaning when it comes down to morals, values, and having a thing called dignity and sympathy and all those kind of things. Those things were being ushered out.
That's interesting. I'd have to look into that. But if I could just finish my point, and so the thing is, right, is when you have those younger parents, because someone's brought that up before, the ones who are actually trying. I'm not even talking about the ones who aren't. The ones who are actually trying. Again, do they have time to follow through, sit down and make sure you followed through? Do they have time to hold you accountable when you don't follow through? There's a lot of things, and, I'm not sitting there blaming my parents for where I'm at this point, right? But I'll say, for example, learning that I could get away with things, that came very easily. Not only did the schooling system allow me to, but my parents, at the end of the day, as much as they were doing their best, there was only so much attention that they were giving me because they were very young themselves. So I think then, everything changed and their advice is kind of not worth as much as it used to be, because now suddenly we're in this millennial age. And so now what happens? I just want to be successful. Remember that song by Drake? Success, what does that even mean? No one really knows, but I want to be a multimillionaire. How? I don't know. There's so many extra options. I just want to do one of the easy ones. I don't know. I guess I'll start a YouTube channel. I don't know. Maybe I'll try this. I don't know. Maybe I'll do this. I don't know. Maybe I'll go viral. Like it's almost like we kind of got stuck. So I don't know about the younger millennials because that's not my generation. But when I listen to friends, family, just speaking, and I can kind of always recognize someone around my age because there's always that lost concept where, they grew up in some aspects, they matured in some aspects, but then there's those other ones, those ones that really make you independently productive, those ones that really allow you to grow and mature to the place where you can validate yourself, so on and so forth. It's like a lot of this generation just kind of missed that skill.
Yeah, I would have to agree with both of you. Because me, I'm a Gen Xer myself. All right. And I see because I look at my sons and daughters, right? My sons and daughters range from age 33 all the way to 20. Okay. And I watch them and I watch how each one of them changed and how each one of them grow depending on what time they were born and what they were. Because my 33-year-old, my oldest son, he has a different mind frame than my 20-year-old daughter, and I don't just mean male and female. I mean, his outlook on life is different than hers. Even though there's only 13 years between them, his outlook is different than hers. I mean, she's a lot more immature than he was when he was 20. You understand? And then I look at my 27, because I have a 27-year-old daughter as well. and I look how she is compared to my 33-year-old son. And she has a different outlook. She has a little bit of immaturity, but she's also a little more focused. She is more focused than my son was when he was her age.
Mm.
So it varies. I guess when you're born, what you go through, what time in life you go to school, what's going on while all of that is happening,
Mm.
what kind of friends you have, what kind of influences you have on your life. I think all of that stuff plays a part in your maturity, along with your parents. I mean, if you got old trap house mom who don't give a damn about you, your
Mm.
maturity is gonna be left up to you. And if it's left up to you when you're 4, you're gonna be still acting 4 when you're like 9. So
Mhm.
I mean, but
Mhm.
notwithstanding that, I mean, if you have parents though that actually try to groom you, counsel you, instruct you, guide you, even with all of that, there's a pretty good chance, especially nowadays, that you're not going to be as mature when you get 18 as your responsible parents were, especially if
Mhm.
your parents didn't have you until they were like 30. Because,
Mm.
see, if they didn't have you till they were like 30, that means they did all the other shit before they had you. They went to school, they went to college, they started a career, they bought a house, and then they had you and your brothers and sisters. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So you're going to be a little different because your influences are different. Okay. And chances are you may not get out there and screw up because you had 2 solid parents, but chances are you're probably going to screw up more than they did because, see, they did things at an older age. They're doing things at an age now that you're doing. Like they're in their late 40s. Okay. They're in their late 40s. You're 18. They had you when they were 30, right? So shit like internet, computer technology, you're all over it. You're 18. You're all over it. But the 40, 50-year old mom and dad may not be that astute with it. So that in itself has an effect on your maturity because, see, they're calling you to do shit on the computer. Because I go through that shit sometimes. Sometimes I have to get my daughter, be like, yo, baby, what's going on with this shit? Because she's on media more than I am. Okay. She uses a computer more than I do. So she can type faster than me and all that kind of shit, you know? But I think maturity is subjective, and I know I say that a lot, y'all. Everywhere I go, y'all hear me talking about shit being subjective. It's because it's true. Maturity is subjective, right? What may be mature for someone like me when I was 18 may not be necessarily considered mature for someone who's 18 now in 2019, or someone who's 18 10 years from now. You understand?
Mhm.
So all that stuff is subjective. But when we talk about the growth of black folks, I think what's going to make black folks grow more than anything else is reality. Y'all know my saying, reality will heal black folks. It will heal black folks. And
Mhm.
I think that when you are an immature person, I think you don't have a full grasp on reality. I think you kind of somewhat deny reality depending on how immature you really are. What you folks think?
I would agree. I can agree.
Yeah, what happens is that the part that I really learned, gosh, I'm about to hit 24 in this teaching game, but you have to keep up with the times.
Mm,
You got no choice because back then, the Gen Xers, probably ending with the Gen Xers, there was always a way to line up your experience with the past. So that's how we're able to connect with the baby boomers, most of us. But as it goes further, it's separating the young and the old even more. It's a big wedge. It's a big fight. It's a big kick. It's a big struggle. And I remember, because we talking about immaturity, you know, like usually, well, for the last maybe, I would say almost over 5 years, there was there was usually like maybe I have a student for like maybe 3 years or so out of that 9 through 12 cycle, and they it's probably one of the students that would give me the hardest time in trying to understand, cooperate, all these different things. I mean, they act a plumb fool. I mean, just straight up immature, all those things. But as soon as they get to that senior year, it's like it never happened. And I'm sitting there asking, like, what took you so long? What's holding you back from getting a head start, whether you're going through all this kind of stuff? Because I could have put you in the system if I didn't, care about you guys. I mean, the part that I think that I really see is that a lot of the young are really being convinced that reality is not real.
Mm.
Nature is not natural. I mean, all
Mm.
these different things. And so they're trying to tell they what they got it so strong in their gut that they're trying to convince the older people that they got the right idea. We
Mm.
don't,
So
whatever we say, psh, that's the past.
so if reality isn't real, what's real? Facebook,
What? No, yeah,
Instagram,
Mm.
exactly. There
YouTube,
you go. There you go.
Mhm.
Twitter.
There you
Mhm.
go.
That
Reality
that's
television.
that's the real
Mhm.
world. Television and internet is the real world. The shit that we're in now is bogus. None of this is real.
Exactly. I mean, it's in the music, right? It's in all these different things. I had to pull some of that stuff that my son was listening to. I'm like, what the hell is this, man?
Wow.
And he
Mhm.
started, laying down. So I started listening to this stuff, and I'm like, man, every time I'm listening, everything is always nigga this, bitch this, hold that. Everything is all through there, just for like the first minute of the song. And
Mhm.
I end off with this. I said, your friends listen to this too? He said, yeah. I said, how many of the girls listen to this stuff too? He said, lots of girls. So I said,
Wow.
how do you think they feel about themselves when they hear this music? He gave me the shoulder dance. I said, but they're constantly hearing this kind of thing. You think that doesn't do anything to their self-esteem later on? And you have to think about that. We don't have these conversations enough with our youth, you know.
Mm. Mhm.
Well,
Very true.
don't you well young folks don't understand. They don't know what internalizing is. They don't know that a lot of the shit that you take in, you kind of internalize, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a word you never hear young folks use. They never,
Channeling.
yeah, they never, they never use these kind of words because in their mind these words don't exist. I
Mhm.
mean, when you get a person like me, because I run into that shit with my own, with my own offspring, you know, and I tell them shit that I know is right, all right, that I know is right and just, and will set them on the straight path and be like, oh, Dad, you don't know, oh, Pop, you don't know, you're old. That's the first thing. That's the first thing comes out of them. Oh, you're old. You don't know anything. How do you think I got to this goddamn age, boy?
Mhm.
Please.
Mhm.
How do you
While
think
you
I
guys
got
were
here?
talking,
Yeah.
I was talking to my son because I was he was telling me that his PE teacher, she's overweight, but he was telling me that a lot of students were wishing that she would do the same things that they're doing, because this is the end of the year, right? For they're doing their finals, but it just seems like they lose what do you call it, a good sense of, okay, we were young too. They think that our time starts when their time start, just like the Iverson and Jordan argument. I'm like, if Iverson got to Jordan in his prime, it'd be a different story. People celebrating that crossover, I've seen that. I'm like, people always wait to dismantle something that that was older that's not able to do the young stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it's I mean, there got to be ways to where that we can pass down some knowledge without it being just slapped out of our hand.
Yep.
Especially on this age stuff. It's like because the late, I'm like, wow, how do you all, I mean, I mean, I don't know if are we the only ones that do this as a culture?
No, actually, what it is that children, you got to keep in mind, kids are blank slates when they're born. They have not grasped the concept of time. When I've heard girls, I remember one time I was talking to a young lady, and she was like, slavery was a long time ago.
Yeah, that
And
too.
I looked at her and I thought, she's like, I think people should just get up because it's a long time ago. This is a black girl. And I looked, I said, do you know there's still people still dealing with world conflicts that are older than slavery? I mean, older than the time we got out of slavery.
Hmm.
And she didn't grasp it. I said, okay, here's the easiest way to look at it. Um, do you think $100 is a lot of money? No. Well, put a dollar. Imagine getting $1 for every year that you've been out of slavery, and then tell me how much does that add up to? And then she was like, well, it's not really much. And I was like, well, think about it that way. I said, and I was trying to explain to her that even though you're young now and you're 10 and you're talking to me and I'm 35, I'm like, trust me, there's not much of an age. I'm like, I'm not seeing much of age, but that's not too far away from each other. I was explaining to her the time is not that long, and trying to get her to grasp the concept of time. It took a little while, but she kind of I think she kind of picked up the two and two what it was. Is that the fact of the matter is that even though you have just gotten here, everything that you see in front of you is older and it appears to be older than you, or it seems like it's been around a lot longer. It's not true. Kind of
Like
get
I
what I'm
came,
saying?
like I came out of my mother's womb with a teacher's planner book. I'm like,
Yeah,
I was a baby too.
yeah. But the thing is, just trying to get them to grasp, just basically trying to get them to grasp the concept of time. I think that's important.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
quite a journey with the young today, but I find ways to adjust it, but it's wearing me out. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, for me, Art, once upon a time when I was a teenager, I thought I was like, man, 30, that's a long time from now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
thought that
mean,
too when I was
you're like,
younger.
dude, you're like, I'm almost 40. You're like, damn. You're like, what happened to
Mm-hmm.
the time? You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I thought that too. I shoot the way I was living. I had I had never thought that I would make it to the age that I am now. Never thought I would be a father, grandfather. I never thought that shit was never thought that shit was gonna happen to me. I never thought there would be little people running around calling me pop, and pop and things of that nature. I never saw it when I was a young guy. Um,
I was the youngest in all of my groups,
yeah,
and people always took me under their wing.
yeah, me too. Me
Same
too.
here.
I never thought that, like right now, man, I got 5 grandchildren, man. I
Damn.
got 3 granddaughters. Yeah, I got 3 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. Shit, my oldest granddaughter is 14. I got a 14-year-old granddaughter. Okay. She's 6 years younger than my youngest daughter, because of the ages of my sons. How fucking dudes can't keep their dick in their pants. So
Right.
my oldest son is 33 and my youngest son is 30. So, they done had a couple babies, god damn it. So um yeah, I look back at my life and you know, to have a little cause my oldest grandson is named after me and he is 9. Yeah. X just turned 9. So, I mean, long after I'm gone, there'll be another little X running around here. Because, my son, he's named after me, and he named his son after him. So, long after I'm gone, there'll be another X running around here, terrorizing this damn world. And I never thought that I would get to that point in life where, I actually had some little person, you know, named after another person who used to be a little person, and both of them are named after me. I I never saw that shit coming when I was a young guy, man.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I'd be like 17 forever, 19 forever. You know, I mean, but I think maturity is acknowledging this stuff. I mean, not just it happening to you, but us acknowledging it and not just acting accordingly, but living accordingly. You know?
I got a perfect question for my little sister Ruby, and this is
Okay.
about. Now, I want you to try to go in deep if you can. Is this a maturity issue when, as far as women not wanting to tell their age?
You know what? I don't think that's a maturity issue at all. I think it's more, if anything, that's being a little bit more realistic. So, what is life all about for women? They're trading on their looks, they're trading on their beauty, they're trading on their youth because they know that those, when you break down all of the rest of life, that's what their value is. So now revealing their age, they know if they look 18, or whatever, they look 25, even though they're really 39, they're going to get a lot of attention. They also know, though, that number 39 is going to put off a lot of good suitors, right? So they don't want to let you know what the age is, so you automatically look at them different, which you might actually. Makes more sense if you look at someone and you think they're 25 or you think they're 21, and you're not going to be looking for signs that actually they have age. They do actually have fine lines there. They do actually have sunspots wherever. You're going to see the illusion that they presented and they've worked really hard for. So I think that's more in the fact that, they're recognizing reality. They know that every year that goes by while they're sitting there single, because it's normally single women who tend to really stick with that, right? So why? Because they know that every year they get older, they become less and less appealing when you put them down on paper. So they don't want to put that down on paper. They want to say, hey, listen, look at the illusion I've created. I can still present as a 21-year-old woman on your arm. I don't want you to look at me like I'm 39.
Well, we done been joined by my brother Jay Shine. What's good, brother Jay
Hey.
Shine?
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's going on?
Check 1 2 1 2.
Happy midnight. Actually, it's later than that. God damn.
Yeah, man. It's fucking 4:46 in the morning. I'm sorry I'm late. Overslept.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But
Got
a
you-
nigga
got
is
you up
here.
early. Yeah,
You're a rock
yeah.
star, bro.
got you up
Dunker
early,
Shin.
man.
Dunker Shin.
Yeah, man. Julius Malenia is here.
Night.
What do you attribute? Well, let me ask Jay Shine, being that he just coming on.
Mm.
Do you think that we as black folks, are we as a collective, us black people as a society, are we less mature than other societies, say the Asian society, the Latino society, and even the white society? Are we less mature as a people?
Oh man, we are. I'm gonna be real, man. Black people right now, especially, I'm going to speak to Black Americans. We are seriously, grossly immature. How we approach in life. Period. We're not just we got a serious situation that we're in as a group of people. And we're not handling none of it appropriately as a group. I was listening to something the other day. Jason Black was laying out something about how immigrants are coming over and getting medallions and getting these $1 million loans with no money down and not even worth $30,000 a year. You know what I mean? Like all these hookups other groups are getting because they work with each other, and then when they get something going, they freeze you out. You know what I mean? They do everything as a group, and these are people who just came to the country, and these are not even like white immigrants. These are like Arabs, you know what I'm saying? And and dirty foot people, like Cerulean would say. And we sit back and watch something like that happen in a city like New York, and we don't even make the appropriate reaction to that. We don't complain. We don't say anything. We just let people do what they do, and don't look at how that really makes us look weak. As a permanent underclass in America, every time somebody comes over here and grows in that country, That's a weakness on us. Of course, we have a power structure that really keeps us down. But at the same time, the fact that we don't react to that shit the way most other people will react shows our immaturity. Instead, we rather go put some fucking crayon colors in our hair, or go get some fucking Jordans, or you know what I mean, or do some other dumb shit. Instead of dealing with the issues that we're dealing with as a group of people. You know, I, I'm not a type of person that wants to like just get on top of motherfuckers and always want to beef with motherfuckers that my friends. But in my circle of influence, my friends know, like, all right, if you do something crazy, don't do it in front of Jay, because Jay's gonna call this shit out. Why? Because I'm an adult, and as a grown ass man, you need to be doing grown ass man shit. So if I see my homeboy doing something that's out of line or doing something that's out of order, especially if he got kids, I'm gonna say something. And look, ass, I think you got a lot of noise in the background. Yeah, so if a dude got kids and shit, man, and he not doing something he's supposed to be doing, I'm gonna pull his coattail. I'm like, hey, yo, bro, you know, shouldn't you be doing this instead of doing that? And it's not because I'm doing it to pick on him. No, he's my friend. And if you my friend and I see you fucking up, it's my job to tell you you fucking up. Not because um, I'm not supposed to be on some high school shit worried about losing a friend if I say the wrong thing. We're supposed to be grown-ups. And if I tell you something that a grown is supposed to be doing, you're supposed to react like, you know what, you're right. You know what I'm saying? You know what, I'm gonna take into consideration. You're not supposed to fall out like a fucking bitch and be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you talking to me like that, nigga." You know what I mean? That's not how you handle situations, man. That's not how you handle shit, man. It's just conversation. If I'm telling you, hey, man, look, dude, man, maybe you shouldn't buy that watch. Maybe you should put some money down in an account so you can go get you a house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't tell me buying trinkets is more important than getting a home. Bullshit. You got fucking kids, man. You understand? Now, how am I out of pocket for telling a friend that? And what kind of friend are you if you don't tell your friend that? Why would you sit there and let your friend fuck up when they got kids? What kind of friend are you? All right? What kind of friend are you? You sitting around here looking at their kids and you looking at their father fucking up. Or I flip it to females. You looking at their mother fucking up. You got kids, but all you care about is going to the club, and all you care about is watching some goddamn TV show and talking about dumb shit all day. When you got kids running around, and like you say, X, they motherfuckers don't know their goddamn colors.
Nope.
You know what I mean? But you ain't gonna tell your girlfriend that she fucking up. Why? You see what I'm saying? Do you not care about her? See, I'm not gonna go out as far and say you don't really care about the person on an emotional level, but I'm saying on a maturity level, where's the concern? Big Mama was mature. Grown men that back in the day, that when you shook their hand, they had that tight grip. Those were mature men because they dealt with reality. You understand? They didn't get concerned with trying to douse themselves or numb themselves with, material bullshit or showing out or looking a certain way. Like at the club, when niggas want to shine and shit, you in this goddamn not triangle, rectangle room. You know what I mean? Dirty ass floors and paper cups everywhere. And yeah, we turn up, nigga. You know what I mean? And for what? But your life is in shambles. What are you celebrating? That's immaturity. These are grown-ups, man, I'm talking about. It's one thing to see high schoolers doing that kind of shit. It's one thing to see that. I even go as far as saying that shit is out of line. Because we're supposed to be teaching our children how to come up. Remember back in the day, you used to have to walk everywhere. You know what I mean? So you had to plan your day out when you didn't have a car and you had to walk your way. Kids had to do the same goddamn thing back in the day. You know what I mean? Kids had to start working early back in the day. So there was already a level of responsibility being embedded in them for their own survival. We just telling everybody from the door it's party time, nigga. Party time. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I'm saying all of that, and I'm gonna circle right back to how I started this conversation, my commentary. All of that's going on while you dealing with the worst version of white supremacy we've seen in a long time. Niggas is partying and not handling business while you being targeted. Niggas is getting their heads blown out on videotape and you partying and you got kids. So whether you a child coming up, a young man coming up, or an old man, and that shit's going on, and you out here partying and showing off your Jordans, you know what I mean, or doing something like that, how niggas be doing, they stunting on each other. and you're not telling him like, yo, what the fuck? And you don't even have a home for your kids to live in. That's immaturity. It's immature as fuck, man. And that's how a lot of niggas are getting down out here. That's how a lot of females are getting down out here. All they give a fuck about is fulfilling their next what's that bitch name? Zane Chronicles, you know, fantasy. Getting thrown up against the wall and getting some huge 12-inch penis thrusted in them and sweating and passion and you know what I mean, maybe throw a little girl in there so they can have a little menage a trois and they want to fulfill these fantasies and that's what they want to do while they got fucking kids running around who need goddamn support and tutelage.
Yep.
And their lives ain't straight. Motherfuckers ain't got no goddamn proper health care. They ain't got shit. And you out here running around doing shit that makes your heart desire, doing everything for your heart that your heart desires. That's immaturity. You work hard to play hard, man. That's a simple concept. That's a real simple concept, man. You take care of business first, and then you party. Then you go out have a good time. You let your hair down. But niggas is all they doing is party. It's like they work to party. I go to work to get me my little paycheck so I can go buy me a little fucking outfit, or I can go buy a little fake ass chain, a little gold plated chain and shit, so I can stun at the club, nigga. Hey, we gonna turn up. But you, your life again, you have done nothing this week to propel your life forward, to do something for your next generation. And the fact that X, you on here talking about your grandchildren, you know what I mean? I don't understand how in the face of the fact that our responsibility for our grandchildren, I don't give a fuck if you 25 fucking years old, nigga. You're gonna have grandchildren on this planet at one point. What are you doing? You're immature as fuck, man. You're a child to me. You know what I mean? And if you want to argue about it, you can come see me and I'll slap in your fucking face like a child. I can look in your eyes and tell that you fucking scared. And that's where a lot of this shit comes from. Motherfuckers are scared to be adults.
Yep. Scared to grow the hell up, man. I mean, that's what I think it is, because when you talk about maturity, right? You're talking about standards, right? Because when you get to be 40, you shouldn't be doing the same shit you was doing when you was 20. I mean, that's
Hell no.
But now, you know, you got people. I've heard people say 40 is the new 20. I've heard that shit. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, not to sound like freaking Brother Obsidian, but I mean, it's like 40 is the new 20. I thought they were insane when they were saying 40 was the new 30 and 30 was the new 20. Now they done jumped 2 decades now. Now 40 is the new 20. Knowing goddamn well you can't even do a fraction of the shit at 40 that you could do when you was like 19, 20. But this is where we are. And like you said, Brother Jay Sean, these people are afraid to grow up. They're afraid to grow up because they're afraid to face responsibility. They are afraid to do adult shit. All right. They are afraid to hold themselves to adult standards. All right. And most importantly, they are afraid of being an example to younger folks. All right. Now, me, I don't claim to be the most mature person in the world, but there was a time when my life was in shambles, when I was like 19, 20, you know, had babies, had a woman that wasn't shit and all that. And I was broke. All right. But you fast forward 25 years ahead, that shit's way in the past. I mean, you know, I set my life out. If I died in this chair tonight, my woman wouldn't lose the house. She wouldn't lose the cars. Okay. Exactly. I don't know what the hell she would do with my business. Probably sell that motherfucker. But she wouldn't lose the house. She wouldn't lose the cars. She wouldn't have to take out a damn GoFundMe to put my ass in the ground. She wouldn't have to do none of that shit. And vice versa. If something happened to her, I mean, I ain't gonna, you know, lose the house or, you know, lose the cars or, you know, I ain't gotta put up a GoFundMe, you know, to buy the casket and all this kind of nonsense. I mean, because when I see that kind of shit, I'm like, wait a goddamn minute. You got to take out a GoFundMe, you know, to bury your kid. You got to take out a GoFundMe to,
that's the cheapest insurance to have.
bury your husband and shit. Like, you never thought about this shit. You never thought about what was going to happen in the future. You never thought about, you know, that your black ass might get old one day, or I mean, you know, that kind of stuff, you know. And you touched on something. You touched on something very important, because you know I'm very biased against these old mamas, and you have these women who are immature. I spoke about this earlier at the top of the hour about how these women have these kids when they're young and they still try to live like they don't have children. Okay? They live like they don't have children. They out in the club, you know, with $500 worth of hair on their head and a $300 dress and they red bottom shoes and all this kind of nonsense, trying to get out there and get another one up in their damn gut. And meanwhile, they have all these little kids at home who, because their mother is immature, that they are suffering. They are forced to suffer, because instead of her being home with them, teaching their little black asses how to read, write, count, colors, time, write their name, ABCs, and that kind of shit, they're not getting none of that shit. They're not getting none of it because, see, mama is too preoccupied with taking damn selfies and putting them on Instagram, trying to get likes from Negroes that they don't even know. Okay, so
busting that ass wide open.
Yeah, so the next generation, what I think has happened, and I'll shut the hell up after this. What I think has happened is that as the next generation goes on, people get more and more immature as time goes on, because immature fucking people are having children, and those children are being somewhat neglected as far as their development goes. So guess what? As they grow, they're more immature than they immature ass parents. And as that cycle goes on, I mean, just, and it's not even black people. I'll say this. I know I said I was going to shut up, but I need to tell y'all this. They say right now, they say 60% of millennials, or well, I guess they're not the same as Lady Ruby, because she's a zennial. But
yes, sir.
they said, I think they said 60 to 65% of millennials right now still fucking live at home. They still live at home, man, or have moved back home.
I wonder why.
Because they're fucking immature.
But you know what, though? It's
why.
more than the immaturity. And, you know, it's something when I was talking about earlier, that whole lack of pessimism that, you know, these generations have. There's this ridiculous, like, you know, fuck the whole toxic masculinity bullshit. There's toxic optimism where, you know, for example, for you to get married, you have to find your one true love and everything needs to be perfect and they need to be perfect and it's all going to be perfect and I'm going to get the perfect job and the perfect amount of money. And then, you know, my parents are just going to, you know, they're going to pay for my college and they're going to buy me a house and they're going to buy me a car. And there's this perfect life that exists for, you know, people out there. And I should have that, right? So there's that, it comes along with that sense of entitlement that I should get that. I should have all that help. There's no work that I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to hand me all of this stuff. And then I like participate 20%. You do 80% of the heavy lifting. I do 20% to just kind of finish it off, right? You pay for my 4 years of college. I attend. And, you know, I guess I get a degree in between a partying and whatever, because you pay for my whole life. I don't have to have a job or whatever. And so any aspect of this romanticized, overly optimistic concept of what life should be that isn't handed to, especially the millennials, they're lost without it. And then they sit around and they moan and they bitch and complain about what their parents didn't do for them. And, oh, well, you know, I mean, I had to get a part-time job in my gap year so I could actually afford to go to college because my parents said they wouldn't pay for room and board. And like you hear them sitting there bitching and moaning and complaining about everything. Whereas in before, it was taken for granted that, sure, I guess if you were rich, it was taken for granted someone's going to pay for your wedding or maybe buy you a house and whatever. But it was just men finish high school and whatever. They might go to college or whatever, but they get a trade, they get a job, they get whatever it is, because you have to make money now because you're a grown ass man and you're ready to make decisions now and you don't want to live like a child. And then women finish high school and you know what? They hopefully find a good suitor, someone who can take care of them, and in return, they have sex with this person, they take care of his house and his home, you know, they have children together and everyone is good enough. You know, are you settling? Of course you're settling because, you know, no one's perfect because, hey, guess what? You're not perfect. You can't be perfect. So your mate can't be perfect, but it's okay. We're going to be a team. We're going to build a life together. We're going to do the best that we can. We're going to get what we have available to us, and we're going to work really hard at that. We find our place in the world. We don't sit there and try to manufacture a place in the world. We don't sit there and romanticize and cry and lament over the things that we didn't get. It is what it is. And, you know, people used to move forward with that. Millennials can't. They sit around and think about, oh, well, maybe I could invent the next Facebook and then I could be a millionaire by 25. Hey, well, if I just work really hard, maybe I could be a millionaire at 30. Work really hard and what? I don't know, but I'm going to find some track where I'm going to get into business school and then I'm going to be a millionaire at 30. That's what you hear, right? It's all about this entitlement where, well, hey, if I just show up, someone should hand me life. And since obviously life doesn't work that way, you have a whole bunch of millennials still living at home, waiting for someone to hand them a life instead of them having to work to build one.
You know, one of my favorite shows is Shark Tank. You know, and Shark Tank shows you people who don't just walk up with an idea and get investment. They have to have a track record, which means they got to get out there and they got to get started on their own. And one of the first questions they ask you when you come in front of them is how many units have you already sold? You know, why are you evaluating your company basically at $2 million? You asking us for $200,000 investment for 10% of your company. So you're saying your company is worth $2 million, right? So, you know, and you have to prove why it's worth that much, what you have done, what kind of noise you're making out there on the markets. Are you already in some local stores? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You had to prove that you already made some moves. You can't come in there saying, hey,
give me money.
Hey, Rich, yeah, give me money. I got a great idea. Give me money. You know what I mean? That's not how it fucking works.
You gotta come there with a goddamn plan, or they're not trying to hear you. But
not just more than a plan, X. I'm sorry. You already had to start. You had to do some things on your own.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You had to show that you serious before you getting an investment from a professional investor. You know, you got to show them that you're already serious. They got to attack. They're not going to give you their money to somebody out here who's not ready to grind. You have to show that you grinded already.
I'm sorry about that.
No, go ahead, brother.
Go ahead, brother.
I think what the problem is that I think we're forgetting is that there is a major culture degradation, mainly in America. Okay, people don't know their roles anymore. People have been reconditioned for new roles, and I think one of the biggest things that we should do as Black people is start focusing on how we're going to fix our roles in our society. Now, we can go back and talk about the maturities and stuff, but what happens when the people don't know? You see what I'm saying? They don't know their role. So, again, it goes right back to what I said before, is that you're going to emulate everything else that you see around you because you don't have any other inputs, any other point of references.
Well,
Are you able to follow that?
Let me ask you this, Brother Lowcast.
Sure.
Do you think that a lot of the immaturity, because we can all agree there's a lot of immaturity within Black society with us Black ass folks, we all agree on that. Do you think a lot of the immaturity within Black society, is it intentional? Is it that a lot of us just, you know, we Toys R Us kids, we don't want to grow up, or is it what you said? Or is it what you said that we don't know that we're immature?
It's conditioned because you don't know. You have no other references to go by. I mean, come on, man. Think about it now. When you got people nowadays, when mothers, right? When you got mothers now who were born once upon a time who are teenagers, and then you got grandmothers at 30, don't you see there's a breakdown in roles? There's a major degradation because, you know, it's still a learning process for each person.
And I want to add this too. Let's see if you heard this argument between a parent and their child. I'm 16. I'm grown. A few minutes later, can I borrow $20? You
I'm
know,
16. I'm grown.
I'm grown. Can I borrow the car? You know, my whole thing is that they really think they're grown, but they're not. But the thing is, you got to find. I mean, every year and every generation, we're trying to find different combinations to get the message that you're not there yet.
Mhm. But
You know,
what's
that's the.
but what's
Okay.
making them think they're grown? The fact that they're 15, 16 years old saying that they're grown, that right there shows freaking immaturity right then and
I tell
there.
you what makes them think they're grown. What makes you think they're grown is that you didn't tell them to pack their fucking bag as soon as they said the word grown.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, look, I ain't trying to be extreme, but
Well,
it's
that's a
got to be
tough example to
consequences.
give.
It's real though. If you
I'm
come
not
at me telling me
disagreeing
you're grown,
with you. I'm just saying.
yeah, oh yeah, I know some people do and some people don't, and I know it sounds fucked up, but it is what it is with me. Because if you come at me acting grown, you won't be out here fucking, you know what I mean, and doing grown people shit. If you want to be
Mhm.
out here talking and doing irresponsible things, and you expect somebody to clean that shit up, and if you come to my face telling me you grown, that's an
And
act
don't
of fuck. Hold on, you the clan, you grown, that's an act of war. I don't give a fuck how nice you say it. All right, cool. I'll say it nicely. Go pack your stuff.
Yeah.
but don't forget
What do you
they
mean pack your stuff? Go pack your stuff and get out.
Because you can't be grown and live in my house.
Grown, exactly.
you,
Grown means
You
you got
can't.
the ability to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
You're
you
not
grown.
grown
That's it.
until you can pay your own bills and you got a way.
Yeah.
You found your own way in life, then
but
you're grown.
but
You
they
know what?
deserve a free trash bag.
If I could give another reference here, right? So culturally, right? If you go back to Jamaica, so what happens is there actually is a period of time in life where teenagers, they're supposed to, first of all, they're supposed to feel like they can conquer the world. They're supposed to have this attitude where, they know that they're grown now, they're not small children, they got to find their place in the world, so on and so forth. And then, especially men, they get to this place where they feel like, you know what, they're adults and they shouldn't have to sit there and be treated like children. And so what happens is at that age, regardless of what that age is, they do up and move. That's actually what they do. So if you're 15, if you're 17, doesn't matter what the age is. For example, my stepfather, I think he was 15 or 16 when he left home to go set out on life on his own, right? And it wasn't because of some big fight and some throwing him out. It's just he realized, listen, this is their house and their rules and so on and so forth. I think I'm a man and I should be able to run my own life. Therefore, I'm going to go somewhere and go run my own life. That's the way
Now,
it works,
Yeah.
right?
I've been on my
So,
own since I've been on my own since 17. You know what I mean? So I relate to that. I've been on my own since 17, man. You know,
now, sister,
I never looked back, never been back to my mother's house
Yeah, me
since
too.
17, man. You
Been
know what I
on,
mean? I'm
you
fucking
know,
41 years old, man. So
been
that's
on
what,
my own
24
since I
fucking
was
years ago.
been on my
You
own
know,
since I was 17 too, man. I moved out
then
of my
then I
moved out
figured
of
it
my
out.
parents' house 3 months after my 17th birthday. I moved out.
yeah, I
You
want to
know,
ask Sister Classic Ruby, when you said what you said, is that based on instinct or something being taught?
well, I think the thing is, a lot of things are kind of instilled in you as a child, for example. So just generalized respect, right? My house, my rules, so on and so forth. And so because it's a cultural norm, that's what you do. When you don't want to be a child anymore, because your parents will always treat you like a child when you are in their house and you don't want that anymore, it's time for you to go elsewhere. Right, you realize that you've now outgrown the role of child, and your role in this household is the role of child. You're there to mature and grow and learn and become an adult. And once you become an adult, you no longer have a place there. It's time for you to go and go find your place in the world. So
Okay,
I
but
think
let me
it's
ask you
like
this
a
question.
common knowledge. Mhm.
Let me ask you this question. What did the parent, as a parent, did you teach your child anything about how to understand their role as a child? Did you teach them the role of how to become an adult? Like, for example, I've had to discover this over time for myself. Is that there's certain stages that parents are supposed to instill certain attributes to their children by a certain
Mhm.
age. Most
Mhm.
parents don't do that. For example, a simple example, Art. I know you can back me up on this one. Education. Most
Mhm.
children go into high school. I mean, not high school, elementary school, not knowing how to spell their own names.
Or the
Mhm.
ABCs.
Who's at fault for that?
The parents.
Okay, and what if the parents didn't even? Okay, okay, if the parents, great. What would you say the parents' maturity level is if they never taught it to them?
See, I think it's not even just a maturity level, because obviously there's a lack of cultural understanding if you think that it's the school system's job to raise your children. And
Okay, you
to
said
kind
another
of
keynote. Go ahead, continue.
right. So what happens is, so for example, culturally, here, a lot of Jamaicans, I can't talk about other people in the West Indies. So a lot of Jamaicans, you're teaching your kids all kinds of stuff before they even get to like kindergarten. They know how to spell their full name. My godson knew how to spell his full name, including his middle name, by the time he was like 4. You know what I mean? He could spell basic little words, 1+1 is 2. And why? Because his mom sits down and teaches him these things. Right? It's up to her for her to realize, at this point, his language skills have developed to here, so he can learn this, he can do this. And when he went to school and he did have some issues in certain areas, she sat down with him, she got him extra tutors, she did her job as a mother to make him not just catch up, but to be a little bit ahead. Right. So at the end of the day, if you've decided that it's the school system's problem, whether your kid can read or not, it's the school system's problem, whether your kid can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, then you're being lazy. So you're not just being
It's
immature.
easy.
You're being
Wait.
lazy.
Stop right there if you don't mind. Sorry about that, sister. That is the number one thing that we do in our culture. That's still a sign of immaturity, just on what you just said alone. Try to get to the bottom of what is actually causing the problem, as opposed to the simple cop-out excuse of, oh, they're just being lazy. No, sometimes the parents just don't know, or maybe the parents are so goddamn busy that all they're doing is paying for what they call this stuff, send their kids off to be looked over for a couple of hours, and they're not teaching them anything neither.
Well, see, the
You see what I'm
problem
saying?
is, though, is I'm going to say lazy. And the reason why I'm going to stick with the laziness is because I've literally seen it myself as well, though. But I'm sure everyone else has, where they know that their kid didn't do their homework. You better get in your room and go do that homework. Right. And a lot of parents will do that. No, you got to go do the homework. You're sitting at home right now. Yeah, you got to cook and whatever
But
and blah,
Ruby,
blah, blah.
everything
But
that
then
you're
hold
saying
on.
still is a sign of
Hear me out.
immaturity.
Hear me out, please. Right. And so now, 3 hours later, the kid comes out. Did you do your homework? Yeah, I did. Okay, you go sit down inside the couch now. Did anyone check the homework? Right? Did you check it over? Did you decide? No, because you didn't feel like it. You had a long day. You didn't feel like it. You don't have to be immature to be a lazy parent. You could be quite mature and still be a lazy parent, because somehow or another you think they should figure it out themselves, and the school should figure it out, and everyone else should do something about it except for you. You shouldn't have to take the extra half an hour, 45 minutes, because you're tired. You had a long day. You need to figure it out. You chose to have that kid, so you need to go and take that lazy feeling that makes you just want to sit on the couch and watch American Idol and turn off that TV and sit down with your kid who's struggling and help them. That's laziness.
And this is a perfect example of emotional immaturity as well. Continue.
What is?
Nothing.
Well,
What is a sign of emotional immaturity?
Nothing. Continue.
I gotta rub up against Low Cass's point for a minute, because
Sure.
now we say okay, we got these kids, because I talk about this shit all the time, because this shit fucks with me, these old mamas. Now we say, okay, the kid wasn't taught to read, write, count. He doesn't know colors. He can't write his own name. He doesn't know how to hold a pencil. All that kind of stuff, right? That we just talked about. And you say that, oh, maybe the parent just didn't know. But see, that may be true, okay? But my problem is when the kid can't read, write, count, write his own name. He doesn't know colors. He can't spell. He can't hold a pencil at 3 and 4, but he know how to cuss. He can cuss you out. He can say, fuck you. He can say, kiss my ass. He can tell you to go to hell. He can read you to filth at 4. But
again, the child is mimicking the environment.
Yeah. So is the environment is an immature environment, because if you 4 years old and can't write your name, don't know your ABCs, can't count, can't write, don't know colors, I shouldn't be hearing you using profanity.
I would say that the environment is not suitable for child rearing. For example, what you just said, for example, if you were, it sounds like that really sounds like a household that wasn't prepared for a child. You see what I'm saying? This is goes to show again immaturity of not going through the proper stages of maturity. If you had prepared for a child, you would already have an environment set for that child from the time it was born. Wouldn't you agree? A lot of our culture doesn't do that.
Yeah, so I agree. I agree with that. I mean, because
So I guess overall, just to get straight to the bare bottom, I'm sorry about that, but our culture is immature.
is it is it our culture itself being immature or is it a giant slice of us as a people who are immature? Can we just blame it on the quote unquote black culture, or is it something like I said before? Are we getting more and more immature as time goes on?
Let me ask Art. Art, can you help me with this one?
Yeah. What I was thinking too is that if you think about most of the time when black folks are fighting, half the time it's about how much money you're getting paid, or how much attention you're getting, or how much you're getting validated. Most of the time it's based on how the powers that be accept you. If you look at it from that standpoint, the powers that be is like our parent. You know, if you're dealing with for example, you're dealing with a situation between the husband and the wife, who's the daddy that she's going to call? Police officers, which is ran by the powers that be. If you're, if I mean, there's all kinds of things, systems in there to where the way that we conduct ourselves as children, we're doing it as adults as well when it comes to, settling our differences rather than just selling it on our own as adults. We always got to have somebody to intervene like they are the parent. So that is one thing. Matter of fact, what person that, believe it or not, the person that pointed that out and I was listening was Bobby Hemmett. We're not really, we're still, I mean, even during slavery, we had to tell the master on each other, to get from one point to the next. That's like, we're like children. So, within the infrastructure, we do try to maintain some kind of manhood or womanhood, but for the most part, there is something that's keeping us from going so far. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but we just got to find a way to get out of that twilight zone and try to let nature take its course rather than just trying to depend on what the powers that be forced upon us in the first place.
I guess the answer to the question is that the African American culture is immature.
I think I think we've established that, brother Lowcast.
Yeah.
But how immature are we though? Okay, we can say that. Okay, because I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. All right, I agree with you, brother Lowcast. But how immature are we, man? I mean, are we so immature that we can never catch up? Because according to reports, far as like economics go, it'll take us what, like 200, what do they say, 220 years, 280 years, I don't know, 200 and something years for us to catch up to like white folks. So we definitely immature in the economic sense. But what
Well,
about the rest of us?
I would say when it comes down to, I like the using the perfect example of the 9 areas of human activity. We're immature in all of them.
Mm.
And that's not to really that's not to insult anyone and make anybody feel bad. It's just to say that
Well,
each one
damn
of
it,
them,
I'm insulted. Nah, go ahead.
each thing, it's so. I mean, I have to really write this down for me to really explain it. But for example, a sign of us, let's say black men being mature, would be almost like saying that every black man understands that he has to be able to protect himself. One thing he needs to know for him to feel for a man to have security, he knows that he's going to have to do something about his income. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now the maturity is based. Now I would say when it comes down to his ability, he has to be mature about what his abilities are and work within those parameters to achieve those first two. You see what I'm saying? Before he can go to step 3 and 4 and 5.
Yeah.
That's a simple example I can come up with at the moment.
Well, all I know is, God damn it, you goddamn people listening to this show, you some immature ass goddamn people, cause this goddamn number does not match this number over here. And y'all know how I am about that shit. All right? Get the likes up. Do I have to do my little walkthrough with you? Don't make me do my walkthrough. You know what? I'll do it anyway. All right? You're gonna take that hand.
And you know Kawhi Leonard is showing maturity too tonight.
Move it.
I'm just saying.
Move it nice and slow. Right over that light. You see that? That thumb that looks like that? You take it and you put your mouse on there and you click it. And you're done. It's not like I'm asking you for $1. Likes are free. It's not costing you anything. For Christ's sakes, you're here. You might as well like the goddamn video. You're here. Like the video. You mean to tell me you're sitting out there watching some shit that you don't like? Come on. But anyway, continue, Brother Art.
No, I was joking. I was just saying somebody's never mind. But yeah, I mean I mean, if you could just use your maturity as probably the number one goal to fixing something, then at least you'd be able to put a dent in some of the financial woes that we have. Because half the time, you know, I mean, you got spiritual immaturity, financial immaturity, physical immaturity. I mean, everything. You just got to be able to fix all of that. And then if you hear Lowcast, remember we were on BMT's panel when I broke out the compensatory code book with Neely Fuller, and I read it verbatim. You know, those are things that we have no power in. So, I mean, until you be able to address those things, we're gonna be having the same argument for another 20 years.
Yeah. And we're gonna continue to lose, man. We're gonna, you know, like Brother Lowcast said, I mean, you know, Black society, you know, we're somewhat immature. And, you know, and a lot of things, I mean, I know people don't like when I say this kind of shit, but I mean, a lot of things Black people are not going to catch up on many of this shit. I know I'm not going to live to see it. I don't know what's going to happen after my black ass is dead and gone, but I know a lot of shit I'm not going to live to see. You know, I'm not going to live to see Black people mature in some of these aspects. I mean, some of these things I may live to see, but I mean, most of them I'm not. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, if you look at the state of affairs today, I mean, poverty isn't going no goddamn where. Illegitimacy isn't going anywhere. I mean, these things are holding firm. It's not like, you know, we're seeing a decrease. No, they're holding pretty steady, these things. You know, and it's not like all of us are living in poverty. I don't want people to think that, you know, that all Black people live in poverty, because we know that that's not true. I think it's something like 20%, right? Like 20% of us, 22% of us that live in poverty, right? So you're talking like 1 out of 5, you know, between 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 4 of us live in poverty. And most of the people who live in poverty are who? Women with children, people with children. Those are the people, most of the people who live in poverty. All right. You're a grown ass, black ass man, and you're an adult. Your ass shouldn't be poor because you just got to take care of yourself. All right. But then again, you may live in grandma's attic, so you ain't got no money. So I guess you're right in there with the baby mamas and the kids. But anyway, I digress. Now, poverty isn't going anywhere, right? Illegitimacy isn't going anywhere. So that part of Black society isn't maturing, man, because it's gotten worse over time. It's definitely worse than it was, say, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. It's worse. I mean, it hasn't gotten better in the past 5, 6 decades. It has gotten worse. So we have freaking regressed, man. We fell back in our maturity, especially, like I said, far as economics go, far as families go, far as poverty goes. We have regressed. We haven't progressed. We haven't progressed, man. We've regressed, man, on a lot of this shit. And a lot of it, I mean, not to sound like a prophet of doom, but I don't see Art, you crazy. I don't see us coming out of some of this shit during my lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that go ahead. Sorry, Art.
No, you go ahead first, brother. I said something
What I was gonna
before.
say is that the question is, let's just say I don't know the exact time frame, but let's say it would probably take us about 30 years of progress to come out of this situation. I would say 30 years of 8 hours of progress per day to come out of this situation. Now, if you want to come out of any faster, you're going to have to go to extreme measures.
Mm.
Now, what those are, I have no real idea at the moment. But depending on how fast you want to get there, we might have to enslave our own people
Wow.
to ourselves to get there.
Do we really need a nigger island? Is a nigger island
Yes.
in order?
Yes.
Inform me,
Get it done.
what is that island? Where did that come from?
Well, if you go through my archives, right, I
Uh-huh.
have a video called Nigger Island, and
Okay.
and the thing, the gist of Nigger Island is everybody that we determine is a nigger, we round them up, we put them on a plane, train, boat, we get them to the shore, and we get them on the plane, and we fly their asses to Nigger Island, and there's no escape.
Nope.
There's no escape.
Yep.
It's not a prison.
Left there forever.
It's not a prison.
No, we can't do that. We gotta.
It's not a prison, but it's a prison.
No, we need to install textile. We need to install textile mills and everything else we need for the other for the active ones to do so.
No, we don't give them shit.
Nope.
We don't give them shit.
They can learn to survive on the island. They have an island.
Yep,
they got water. They got
put
trees.
Them right there with the rest of the niggas. And
you tell them to cut down the trees because we need firewood.
Yep, every now and then we fly in, and we parachute a big old box of food and shit in there and let them kill each other over it. Because after a while, after about 20 years, it's only going to be like one or two of them left anyway. No matter how many you put there, because they just going to kill each other. See, this is what I say, not to get too much off topic, but I want y'all to get the understanding of where I'm coming from. See, this is the thing. See, Black folks, we are like ants, right? Niggas are like spiders, and I'll tell you why. If I go outside, right, and I dig up, right, if I go into a big area and I dig up a bunch of ants, right, and they're in the same colony, they're right there in the immediate area with each other, I take them and I put them in a jar, and of course they'll run around and they'll try to figure it out. But after a while, you'll look, especially if you put like some dirt in there, you'll see them. They'll just start building in there, and they'll start making tunnels and shit, and they'll get along, and they'll make a little society right in the jar. You put them in that jar, they'll start digging holes and making tunnels and laying eggs and all that shit. But if I go into that same little area and I capture 20 spiders that are in the same general vicinity, and I put them in a jar, tomorrow when you come out, there'll be 17. If I leave it there a week or two, when you come back, there'll be 8. I leave it there another week, there'll be 4. Leave it another week, there'll be 2. And eventually, there'll be 1. Because they will kill and eat each other until there's only 1 left. No matter how many you put in there. No matter how many you put in there, you come back to that jar in a month, there will be 1. And see, that's the difference between Black folks, Negroes, and goddamn niggas. See, niggas are like spiders. They will cannibalize each other until there's only 1 left. See, Black folks will act like ants. You put us somewhere, we'll build, we'll get along, and we'll make a society. We'll make something out of nothing. We'll make a life in that jar. Niggas ain't. Niggas ain't. No matter where you put them. You put a bunch of niggas on the island. If you put 50 of them on the island, it'd just be a matter of time before it be 25, unless you put some niggettes. Now, if you put a few niggettes there, You know, she'll have babies by all 20 of the fucking guys that are there. You know, so they'll freaking reproduce and stuff like that. Yeah, but for the most part, in that type of setting, they're not going to do what's right. You think they're going to get together one day and try to build a raft and escape? No. Because soon as somebody build a goddamn raft and try to escape, one of them damn niggas will sabotage it and sink it because they didn't come up with the idea. They won't even be smart enough to freaking knock the person out and take the raft and use it for themselves. No, they'll just destroy the raft. Yeah, they'll just destroy the raft instead. I mean, this is kind of the mentality. You know, I know what I'm saying is somewhat extreme, but y'all get the gist of it. Some of us black people are not going to make it. Okay, and I know black people hate when you say that, you know, oh, there's room for everybody. I used to believe that. I used to believe that. Then I evolved and start seeing reality. You know, I matured.
So I got a good question, X. I got a good question on that, X. So
Go ahead,
when people try to oppose what you say, what do you think they're protecting?
What are they protecting? I think people are protecting their right to be immature. They're protecting their right to have because make no mistake, I'm a true believer that people want to have the open option of failure. You understand? They want that to be an option. Okay? They want that to be one of the options, that I should have the option of failing. Okay? And if I
could add something,
that's a lack of maturity within itself, to think that you have the option of failing. Failing should be something that's unplanned. You don't plan to fail, but I think people actually want the damn option to plan for failure. That is what they're freaking protecting, I think, Brother Art. Go ahead, Lady Ruby.
Yeah, because I want to add to that, because I agree with you, but I'm going to add a layer on top of that to say this, that, see, now, if you fail, right, what you want is an example in the world that someone failed worse than you. So your failure isn't so bad, right? So, for example, you wanted to be a good girl. You didn't want to be one of the, you know, a hoe or whatever. And then somehow or another, you end up sleeping with 20 guys. What you want to exist in the world is the girl who slept with 100 guys and have 6 guys, 6 babies, don't know who the father is. Why? Because in comparison to her, you're not a hoe, right? In comparison to her, you're not a failure. And the more of her exists, the less bad your sin, quote unquote, becomes. And so the point where you slept with 20 guys, but the average girl sleeps with 50 guys. So in comparison, you're a good girl. And so you know what? You're allowed to fail as long as someone is below you. You haven't hit rock bottom. As long as someone is below you, then your failure isn't so bad. So it allows you to be immature, allows you not to grow up. It allows you to be lazy. It allows you to fail and still feel like your failure isn't so bad. So you don't have to look down on yourself. You don't have to try extra hard. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to anything, because there's always someone out there who's worse than you, and there's lots of them. You can point at them and be like, see, at least I'm not her. That's what I think happens.
Is the gospel being preached up in here by Lady Ruby? Is the gospel being preached?
Ruby's congregation.
How to get on the pulpit today.
Let me ask Brother Jay Sean, because Brother Jay Sean is in Europe, right? So
yes, sir.
And Europe is, I'm pretty sure Europe is it's just a total different vibe than this craziness over here. So what is the tone of maturity over there, Brother Jay Sean? Like, I mean, what are the expectations of a person's maturity over there?
What I could tell you what I've seen when I get up in the morning and I'm driving through the city. I noticed something about Germans in the society. Everybody's up early. There's a engineering factory next to my house. where they make some real cool stuff. I actually looked it up because I was wondering what the fuck this building was, but you can find everything on Google. But anyway, when I walk out the houses, when I pass that shit in the morning, that parking lot is packed. It's packed. People are up, ready to work. I remember when I got up here, it was the wintertime. It'd be 6 in the morning. It's still dark outside, and this light kept going off because that's where the cars go in. And I'm like, damn, these people are just up and everything's bustling. It's bustling like New York City in this small ass town. And then when you go down the mountain and you get into Wiesbaden, it's the same thing. Everybody's on bus stops. They have a real commuting culture. They don't have this let's sit in the car by ourselves culture. You know what I mean? They get on the fucking bus, they get on the train, even though they have cars. Um, and I see all the working class people just going to work. Everybody's on time. I can't go into a shop and not find a full staff there. I can't go into a bank and not find a full staff there. There's a level of just people getting up and doing what they're supposed to do. Um, Now, what really tells it for me how the society works is the children. When I see the teenagers, I watch them. I watch how they are at the bus stop. They're not showing out. They're not looking for attention. I want you to drive through your nearest hood today, and I want you to drive past bus stops where kids are, and look how the teenage kids are performing. Looking into your car as you're passing by, and then they do something to perform. We live in a society that just drenched with getting attention, acting out, performing, and not just being. What are you performing for? What are you looking for? There's a fucking stranger looking back at you. You know what I'm saying? What are you performing for? Why are you mean munging a stranger in the car? Why are you all of a sudden you see somebody in the car looking at you and then you do something because you know what I mean? Because you got to perform. We have a very, very immature culture because you know who do that? Babies, children in your house. You come into your house and then you walk around your house and the kid could be in the living room and then as soon as you walk in, they look at you and they got to do something to perform, you know what I mean, to perform for you because they're children. They're looking for some type of attention. And then what happens with us, we're perpetual children because you see it happen in the office. People just can't get the fuck up and get to work on time. Why not? What's so hard about doing that? How did that become corny? How did that become whack in our culture where you talk about being on time and that makes you sound like what's the word I'm looking for, Art? It makes you sound like um, a square or
A lame.
a goody two, yeah, lame or goody two shoes or some bullshit. That's
Yeah.
cultural. When you have that kind of shit going on amongst yourselves, man, where you can't even say, you know what, dude, you get paid to be here from 9 to 5. Get here from 9 to 5. Now you're gonna be late from time to time because life happens, right? But if you're late every fucking day, if you don't want to be at your job, you got an attitude on your job. Why? You're there to get a check, man. Just perform. Why can't you perform then? Why can't you perform for the 8 hours at your job for what you actually get paid to do? You know what I mean? But over here, you don't see none of this. You don't see this immaturity. They're very mature about just going to get to work, getting their job done, and then they mature about how they lay their head down. When it's time, when it's off, like yesterday they had a holiday. I gotta look the shit up. Germans got so many goddamn holidays. These days you'll wake up and it's like the night of living dead out here. It's fucking nothing on the streets. Everything is closed. And that's just the way it is. There's no one, they don't have a culture of people complaining about, well, damn, I can't go get the store and get what I need right now. Oh, I feel like eating some ice cream. I'm pissed off because the store is closed. That's a level of immaturity. You know what you should have did? You should have got your ass up and went to the store yesterday. So you just ass out. That's a culture that's mature. We're on holiday. Everything is closed. I'm not talking about Thanksgiving or a big holiday. Every fucking holiday in Germany, no one works except for, basic services like buses, hospitals. Everything is closed, fam. You cannot get. Yesterday, I needed to get some dishwashing liquid. I forgot to get some when me and my daughter went to the store Wednesday. And guess what? I'm ass out because I forgot because yesterday, no stores are open. Once I left the military post, I come into Germany world. There's no stores open. So you have to go out and plan your life. You have to be mature. You got to get your ass up, go to the store when you're supposed to go to the store, get what you need to get because we're on vacation tomorrow. We're on holiday. That's maturity, man. And no one complains. In fact, they celebrate it here. But if you look at American culture, Locast said this earlier about being it's not just black culture, it's American culture that's immature. But we're just the worst of it because we refuse to do what we're supposed to do. Part of doing your job every day, part of taking care of your kids and making sure your kids got what they need, their homework is done, and all that. Especially nowadays. Let me back up. When you're checking your kids' homework nowadays, you checking their grades. You don't even have to call teachers anymore. You can just log online and see their grades online. How hard is that? But the same niggas who won't do that will show you great maturity when it's time to get some Beyonce tickets. They'll show you great maturity when it's time to go to that New Year's party and it's time to get fly and show out. They'll show you great maturity on how they go about graduation because they want to stunt and they want to show out. They make sure the hair is done. They get that appointment on time. They'll get the fucking hair on time. The dudes will make sure they got their tuxedo. All of a sudden, a fucking little nigga knows something about a suit. All of a sudden. But 2 weeks ago, oh man, I don't know how to tie, man. I had to go to cleaners and I went down to get my shit pinned down, and now I got to go back and get it pinned down again. Cause you look, we're dealing with gross immaturity as a group, gross immaturity, and the reason why I have no fucking tolerance for it is because when it comes time to doing something they really want to do, all of a sudden they know what to do. All of a sudden they know what to do. You know, they know that paperwork. When it's time to know paperwork, when they know paperwork when it's time to get that fucking that benefit from the office downtown. When it's time to get that welfare, when it's time to get that hookup, all of a sudden they know the paperwork. But when it's time to do some paperwork to get your house going, to do what you need to do to learn about, your child support situation, to know what you need to do about healthcare and reading in between the lines and reading the fine print, all of a sudden, oh man, I ain't get time to do that. That's a lot. You know what I mean? But when it comes time to doing what you want to do, when it comes time to popping that ass, you're mature. You know what to do. You do exactly what you need to do. You be where you need to be. And when it's time to get into the club before 10 o'clock because the first 500 girls are free, your ass is there before 10 o'clock. But you can't be at your job on time. It's bullshit. It's immaturity. It's acting like children. Children act this way. And we got a bunch of grown-ass children running around here. And I have no respect for it. When you get your ass out of the country and you see how other people get down, and you see how other places work, and how other societies work together. Not even first world countries. You go to third world countries where people got to get up every day and walk miles to get their fucking water, man. And you don't have to do that, but you're complaining about getting your ass up and going to a job that actually pays you. You know what I mean? Where you can go buy more than water, where you can just go sit in a restaurant and get served. And then these other countries don't know nothing about that kind of shit. This is their life is to get up every day and survive. And your job is to get up every day and play. Now, being over here in Europe, I'm going to tell you this. The women over here, these young women over here are very mature, very impressive. When I drive through the city, I see young girls, just looking clean. They're not looking for all this extra attention, so their ass and cheeks are not out. And what's crazy is that they got a time and place for it. They have festivals over here, like fashion. You know what I mean? Where they do shit that is very sexual and explicit. They have they have traditions over here and festivals and all that kind of stuff where they let the fuck loose. But that's not how they are day in, day out. Day in, day out, their hair is back, their face is clean, their clothes are clean, they're in order, everything is tight. You might say it's corny, but what it is professional. They have a professional culture over here. And it's not just them, it's all types of places, man, that you can go through. It's places in South America that are that way. There's places in the Caribbean that are that way. It's not just us. You can go to St. Thomas, and they're not a lot of things. Now, if you go to some of their parties, then they let loose. But day in, day out, the schoolgirls got schoolgirl clothes on, and you know what I'm saying? There's a time and place for everything. And that's a sign of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
As a society. You know what I mean? And our society back in America is very, very, very immature. Niggas refuse not to do. And then they want to pull you in, Ruby. They want to pull you in and say, they want you to feel bad because they losing because they didn't do what they was fucking supposed to do. They pull you into their fuckery. Like, what the fuck you talking about? I gotta sit here and listen to this nigga complain about some shit he know he's supposed to do, and I gotta sit here like I'm his friend. How am I your friend if I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like, yo, hold on, time out, nigga. Shut the fuck up, man. You know better. You know what you did. You know what you're supposed to do last month. Last month I watched you not do what you're supposed to do. Now you sit here crying, talking about you lost your job. Nigga, you was at the bar with me. I had the day off. You didn't, nigga. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
This shit is crazy, man. And you gotta sit there and like, yeah, man, these white people be tripping. Nigga, get the fuck out of here.
But this is the thing, because you look up, because I'm looking up the definition, the different, definitions of maturity, and they say maturity, psychological. They say in psychology, maturity is the ability to respond to the environment, aware of the correct time and location to behave, and knowing when to act according to the circumstances and the culture of the society one lives in. So we have been summing that up all night. So what happens, and listening to Brother Jay Sean, we don't even know how to act within the goddamn society that we live in. We don't know how to respond accordingly to things. We don't know how to act accordingly to things.
The fact that George Zimmerman is still running around here signing autographs and making a living is a sign of immaturity. Did I say something wrong? Did I say something wrong?
No.
Nope.
100% facts.
The fact that his lungs are operating right now, taking in oxygen and letting out carbon dioxide, is a sign of immaturity, niggas.
100%. 100%. And if I could just add something to that, because you brought up psychology.
That shit just over many people. It just.
I don't give a fuck. I'll tell Trayvon's father to his face. It couldn't be me. I'll be in jail. Right now. Guarantee it. Guarantee as it's going to rain again. Guarantee as the sun is going to come up in the fucking morning. Guarantee as this world spins, nigga, I will be in jail right now. Chilling, playing dominoes, nigga. Big six to the board. Hey, nigga, I told you need to stop smoking so much, nigga. You crazy as fuck. I'll be in there niggerish as fuck. In jail. Gotta do what I gotta do.
He said in there playing dominoes.
Goddamn right, man. With
feeling
on,
good.
Nigga.
Sleeping well every night, man. Good night. Good night rest.
Proud to be in jail. I belong in here.
With cut off.
I'm making hate Skittles.
Cut off khakis, French braids, and house shoes. And
chefing up, goddamn, grilled cheese sandwiches, niggas with iron and
right, making birthday cake and shit with those honey buns or whatever they call it.
Right, boy. Being that motherfucker, man. Being that motherfucker Muslim and shit. Alhamdulillah, mother. You goddamn right. I had to choke that cracker. Proud, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I know.
Glad through my 20 years, man. Like a G. Like what?
I know, brother. Was that brother Loadcast or brother Art that wanted to jump in here? Or which either
well, it was me.
Oh,
I said something.
Well, what'd you say?
Because I just wanted to add to all that, given, you brought up the psychology aspect, right? So you think about the self, the ego, the person, right? And then you think about the super ego, which is all of the rules and authority and whatever that you've learned. And then you think about the id, which is pleasure, right? You fulfilling your own pleasures and desires. And so, maturity comes when you balance those two things effectively. So, you still get not just what you need, but what you want, and you can still fulfill some pleasures and desires. But at the same time, you're not really violating any of those super ego, those rules, the authorities and whatever. So that way you're not ruining your life. You're able to function in society properly. And, bringing up George Zimmerman, it points out such a good fact is that we're not going to follow basic rules to make ourselves and our lives better. Like, for example, going to work, you make sure you show up on time. They say you're 5 minutes late, that counts as late. Be 15 minutes early, just every day, just do it. Right? That's a massive sign of immaturity. But at the same time, we're not going to take the law into our own hands to take a crooked, you think it's someone gunning down our children. Well, that's against the law. So suddenly that's against the law, and it's okay for that man to continue walking around. And who knows if he's going to gun down another one of our children in 5 years. But, oh, hey, I was scared and I thought the 14-year-old was 25, so it's okay. So we're missing that. We're missing that piece of us that says, hey, listen, we need to look at those rules that are written up there and all this authority we're taught and realize that something that's passed down to us, not just culturally, but there's something called epigenetics, look it up, whereas it's not literally part of your DNA, it's something that kind of attaches to your DNA. And so we're passing down this trauma of slavery and oppression, and that we have to follow it. We have to bow to it. We have to just sit there and be scared so we don't stand up and fight. And that keeps getting passed down from generation to generation. So whenever we are seeing these things, we walk around outraged. And what is everyone doing? We're turning around like small children and saying to the white man, please don't oppress us anymore. Please, it's wrong for you to kill us. Look, I'm forgiving you. Please don't do it again. Like we're small children, because anytime we're interacting with the system or with the white man in general, especially in terms like this, we turn into children pleading, and they can say no. We're not standing up like grown-ups. We're not standing up like adults and saying no. This is not a question.
Hey, Ruby, you know what you said? You say that? I just want to break in real quick. Ruby, you said something crazy. I had a conversation with a white dude at my job once, and I said the same exact thing. And we were talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. This is he was on that Tea Party shit, and and he was like, "Yeah, you guys, out there, protesting." I said, "What guys? I ain't out there protesting nothing." He said, "Well, not you, but," I said, "Well, you never see me out there because I operate from a position of power." Protesting is asking somebody for something. I'm not asking for shit. You know what I'm saying? He looked at me crazy. I was like, you gonna respect me or I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean? In the end of this is me talking to a white man. I said, I said, you sitting out here complaining about protesters, that's a position of weakness. You know what I mean? They asking for you motherfuckers to care. They're asking for you to care, but you don't. And I know you don't. So I wouldn't ask you. And then I walked away. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But you're absolutely right, Ruby.
This is so true. And see, even when you look at what the protests are, it's a bunch of people getting together so they can get in their feelings and yell and scream and cry and say, look how wrong this is. Please care about us. It's not fair. We're supposed to be equal.
He said, look how wrong this is. Please care about us.
Right? That's what they're doing. What? Why do you think that's effective?
I know this has been going on for like 400 years, but this is the year that you stop listening, right?
Right. But today's gonna be the day. Look, I'm crying real tears. I swear I'm really actually hurt. Like, they don't give a shit. They didn't give a shit 100 years ago. They don't give a shit now. They're never gonna give a shit. So you standing there and what you're demanding is for someone to just care about your feelings, ain't gonna happen. And that's something that somehow or another, so much of us are missing. Because again, in the context of interacting with this system, we interact like we are children and they are grownups, and we're really small children. We're not even like 8-year-olds where maybe we can talk back or sneak. No, we're like 5-year-olds. Whatever daddy says goes, and that's what it is. And it's so sad to see day by day so many of us fall into this where we're not going to sit there and say, well, no matter what, I got to get up and I got to go to work. I got to get up and I got to make my money. I got to get up and I got to pay for this and I got to be responsible and I got to get insurance and I got to whatever, because those are the rules. No, we don't submit to that. The stuff that might help our lives, but we're going to submit to the white man telling us that they're going to kill our children whenever they want. And all we can do is beg and plead for them to pretty please not do it next time. No one's going to jail. No one's getting punished. And God forbid I go and kill him. I go to jail. Everyone else is going to go free. Everyone else is cool. Like, no, there's something wrong where we're always setting ourselves up to be small children. And what's the next step? We're not growing up. Collectively, we aren't maturing. Collectively, we're not growing up.
Absolutely not. Well, it's getting round to the old 12 o'clock hour, so we about to round this shit up.
It's our bedtime.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
time.
getting
After
my
It's time.
bedtime too.
I'm ordering all of y'all to go your asses to bed, except you, brother Jay Shine. You go your ass to work.
To
Um,
work.
And
any,
in my in my city party A voice, I
yeah,
will.
sir, you go your ass to work. So, any last words before we peel out? I guess I'll start with whoever wants to start. Any last words before we break out
I'll
of here?
go real quick. I was going to say this. Look, maturity, man. Look, it's really simple to me. We got to simplify life. All right, life is complicated as is because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. There's a lot of shit that can happen to you that's out of your control. So what's in your control, control it. All right, do what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Do what's right because it's right, and then do it right. That's a philosophy that I live by. All right, and another philosophy I live by is E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. All right, and when you're dealing with the realities of life, you can't then turn away and act like that shit is not what it is. All right. It's kind of like a sister who knows her man is not good, but she wants the shit to be with something else. She had a fantasy in her head, so she just keeps ignoring the shit and acting like she didn't see what she just saw, or acting like she didn't hear what she just heard. Same thing for dudes. You know what I mean? You look, I know you want this motherfucker, brother. I know she fine as fuck. I know the ass popping. I know that head was sick last night, but she's a whore. You know it. I know it. So act accordingly. All right? That's the mature thing to do. Walk away from the chick. Leave her alone. Immaturity is the core reason why a lot of things are falling apart in the black society. In our relationships, when we're dealing with our family, when we're dealing with work, when we're dealing with the world on a social level or political level, it's immaturity. We know Biden is false, but you're going to have immature Negroes who just vote Democrat anyway. Instead of just saying, I don't want to think. I don't want to think out the box. I don't want to do the work of finding another candidate. I don't want to do the work of maybe not, voting for just, going to the voting booth, vote for everything else but the president. You know what I mean? Just doing something that requires some thought. No, it's easy just to fall in line. But this is due to our immaturity. I'll watch white people in the political sphere champion a racist, a right winger, and then he say one thing that's offbeat, they'll turn on his ass. A drop of a hat. We see folks doing this shit all the time. Glenn Beck used to be the man, and they turned on his ass when he started talking some sense on any level. You know what I mean? They have no tolerance for anything that's outside of white supremacy or their quote unquote conservative culture. They don't give a fuck. They're very rigid. They don't care. They're not reasonable with it. And that's how we gotta be as black people. We've been going through what we're going through for a very long time. A lot of what the issues we have as a group stem from our situation, and we refuse to face it as a group. There are some individuals who do it, but not us as a group. As a culture, we won't do it. We just won't. We won't address the shit. And that to me is a sign of immaturity. And the only way we're gonna fix it generationally is that if we start attacking the children, we got to get our children and the groups coming up behind us ready. That's why I respect people like Art who are teachers. We got to support our black teachers. We got to support
Facts.
any black person who are dealing with young people who have even parents. If you see a parent that's out there really trying, whether she's a single mother or not, whether it's a father, especially if it's a father, talking to men, back fathers, man, help them out, man. Pull his coattail. Like, look, man, you're a father. I'm not talking to you because I want to talk down to you, or I'm not checking you because I feel like I'm better than you. No, I'm talking to you because I need you to correct yourself. I need your kids to be strong. I need you to be strong. I need everything over there to be cool. I can't let you slip. I can't let you sit there and let your kids play fucking video games all day. I need you. You know what I'm saying? I need you to grow up, brother. Because I need your kids. My daughter needs your sons. And I'll leave it at that.
Next, Brother Loadcast. Brother Loadcast still with?
I want to say thank you for having me on tonight. I enjoyed listening to Jay Shine, Ruby, and of course Art as well. Definitely still want to send a shout out to everybody in the chat. Go ahead one more time if you don't mind and press that like button so we can get all the likes in for the night. And thank you for having me again, brother. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. You welcome here anytime, Brother Loadcast. I like your shit, man. You better be coming around here more often, brother. Anybody else? Brother Art, Lady Ruby?
Well, I was trying to be polite and just let people go because I know I talk a lot. So
Yeah,
that
we know it too, but we don't mind. We don't judge you for it.
thank you, thank you. You know, I try. At least I accept my faults, right? That's part of maturity.
We don't judge you.
I'm gonna say this, and again, I know it seems like a weird concept, but if you think about it, toxic optimism is a massive deterrent towards people maturing. And it's because for some reason or another, we've decided to beat it into our children's heads, and then obviously media, social media, all these stories of random people who got famous and made money in 5 seconds and whatever, have beaten it into everyone's head that there's some magical future where you don't have to do anything. You sit on your hands and your life is just going to be amazing. And, you know, why can't you find a husband or a wife or whatever? Well, because she's supposed to be perfect. And so if he's not the greatest husband in the world and everything's perfect, he understands me perfectly, everything's perfect, whatever, well then, no, that's not a husband. Oh, well, why can't you just be successful in your career? Well, no, I needed a career that I was always happy to get up. And, you know, from day one I started, I didn't even have to start at the bottom and blah, blah, blah. We have this romanticized idea about what life is supposed to be. And so as a result, we never mature because we never start at ground zero of being an adult, which is being at the bottom, getting stepped all over, having to fight your way up, so on and so forth, as you build and become an adult. You know, you don't just magically grow up one day, you blinked and you woke up and damn, look at this, everything's fixed. No, well, you have to mature, and you mature by doing things. You don't mature by remaining idle, and you definitely don't mature by sitting there and trying to obtain things that don't really exist. And so as a result, you can never sit there and get into relationships with people or business associates or whatever, because it's too hard. It's not perfect. It's not whatever. Grow up, mature, and realize that nothing is perfect, that in life you are always going to be settling in some aspects in order for you to be functional and successful. That's called normalcy. And this romanticized bullshit of the millennial era is just hurting the community, making it worse. Other than that, I gotta say, Brother X, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Feel so comfortable to be back up in my seat on this panel.
You already know you're home when you're here. You're home.
I feel home, so
home.
I love it. I love it. Jay Shine, Loadcast, Brother Art, thank you so much for all of the knowledge and wisdom, opinions y'all have shared tonight, because I don't know, they've enriched my soul. I'm hoping they enriched everyone else's.
Yes, it has enriched my soul, my perfect sister.
And you know what, Lowcast, I gotta say, I don't know what now. I'm gonna be on a Google search all night to figure out how your display looks like this, because it's so cool.
Yeah, that shit is ridiculous. Cool. I was checking that out the last time I saw him. I was like, damn, how the hell he do that shit? Brother Art.
Yeah, so I kind of in these panels with say no to drugs, stay in school, and don't be starting forest fires.
Start forest fires.
Love it, of course.
That's my goddamn brother right there.
But I try to remind people perceived freedom is based on immaturity, but true freedom is based on maturity. So that's the thing, that you gotta free yourself from that immaturity mind state. I know it sounds kind of basic, but it is doable. You just gotta, that's the part where you can't say that someone's stopping you from doing that, or at least getting the ball rolling. So if you can at least do that, everybody has their own way of doing it too. There's no one way. So I would try to encourage people to at least try to get their freedom by being more mature and call their own shots.
It's true. Very true. Me, I'm gonna close out with this, folks. I know we all spoke tonight about how immature, certain segments of Black society seem to be to us, right? Now, the fact that those segments of Black society are immature doesn't mean there is no hope for them. Now, you often hear me say that some of us, there is no goddamn hope for some of us, and there's not. But that doesn't mean there is absolutely no hope for the immature, because immature means that you haven't matured. So hopefully we can have certain parts of Black society mature. Why? Because certain parts of Black society are responsible for who? Children. So if those parts of Black society are not going to mature for themselves, they should at least mature for the children who look up to them, to the children who they are raising, rearing, and the children who they will ultimately mimic in due time. Also, not only should Black society be maturing for the sake of the children, Black society should be maturing for the sake of Black society. I mean, we have less money, we have less families, we have a horrible economic standing, we have a horrible collective vision as Black folks. We have a horrible collective mind state. Now, not to say that we all should be this part of this monolith, because that's not possible either. But I do think we should be somewhat monolithic when it comes to maturity, okay? Because we know the basic things, you know? Once you get old enough to do grown-up shit, you need to be acting like a grown-up. That's just it. Whatever you think acting like a grown-up is, you should be doing it, all right? Because if you are immature and know what grown-up shit is, that means you're being immature purposely, not inadvertently. And that's what it is. I think many of us are purposely immature. Now, you heard Brother Loadcast tonight say some of us just don't know. And I'll grant him that. I'll grant him that some of us just don't know. But for those of us who do know and continue to live life immaturely, not only are they doing themselves a disservice, they're doing a disservice to everyone around them, everyone who is influenced by them, and especially those who they have given birth to. Now, like I said before, I don't think I'm the most mature person in the world, but one thing I've developed over the course of my life is focus. Okay? I focus on my shit. I do my numbers. And I take care of the people around me. And that's where I think we are the most immature. Some of us. Because with all the definitions of immaturity that we gave out tonight, my definition of immaturity is when your Black ass lacks focus. I'm just saying. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, man. I appreciate. Oh, what's good, brother AM1? I see you up there, man. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I appreciate you in the chat room. I appreciate the mods always in there doing what they got to do. And I also appreciate you especially for coming here tonight, watching us, spending some time with us. It is always appreciated. What I need y'all to do is get on down to Facebook. Go ahead, check out Prophet of Thought series on Facebook. That's Prophet of Thought, one word, series, the next word, on Facebook. That's our main page. It's a community page. Go ahead, like the page, share the page, follow the page. Also, you can catch up with old X down there as well. Go ahead, drop me a line. I'm guaranteed to get back to you within 24 and 168 hours. Guaranteed. And while you're there, while you're on Facebook, make your way down to the Prophet of Thought Series fan group page. That's the Prophet of Thought Series fan group page on Facebook. Go ahead, request to be a member. You're guaranteed to get in there. If you have any problems, just let me know. If you can't get in the group, I'll talk to the admins, because I don't admin the shit. I say this all the time. Sometimes my shit gets blocked. I'm like, what the hell? So if you have a problem getting in there, just drop me a line on my email and I'll make sure you get in the group. Also, check us out on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's Prophet of Thought. Leave out the series on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. You guarantee to get a follow back. And here we damn go again. Here we damn go again. Here we damn go again.
And Brother Prophet,
I am so tired of chastising y'all about Twitter, but I'm going to do it one more time tonight. Get your black ass down near the Twitter. The TPOT handle is at TPOT Media on Twitter. That's at TPOT Media on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter or I will haunt you
Brother
in your dreams forever. What's up, Brother Art?
Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to end this off without thanking Brother Jay Shine for giving a nice donation for me to finish making these graduation sashes for my students. So I want to give him props because he appreciate what teachers do.
Well, Brother Jay Shine is a real dude, man. Anybody who fucks with Jay Shine know Jay Shine is my dude, man. I mean, yeah. I ain't even surprised that he did that shit, man. I ain't surprised. Everything. So I ain't surprised. I ain't surprised. I'm not surprised.
People need to know. People need to know that about him.
Yeah, they do. They do need to know that Jay Shine is the real deal, man. He ain't one of them fucked up niggas who just talk that bullshit. Cause I fuck with Jay Shine offline. Okay, I called Jay Shine just to shoot the shit with this brother. So, like I said, I ain't surprised he did that shit. That's him. That's him. That's another day. That's just Tuesday for Jay Shine. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. And also, I want to thank my most distinguished guest, Brother Art, my dude, Lady Ruby, Brother Lowcast, and my brother Jay Shine. I appreciate all of y'all coming through. And don't let this be the last time. God damn it. All right. Also, I want to thank y'all once again for coming through, supporting this damn channel, man. Supporting me and supporting whatever it is we trying to do up here. I appreciate all of y'all, man. I do. This channel has grown, since y'all have been, coming here, man. And I appreciate it, man. I just do, man. So, how your black behinds here next week, same damn time, same damn station. Next week we're gonna have a good hours of power, man. I got some good guests lined up. I confirmed 2 of them today because y'all know we do 3 guests on one night on the hours of power, and I confirmed 2 of them today. So we're gonna have 3 on Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday we might have, actually Thursday we also gonna have a special show. Brother Supreme King Coon is gonna come through. Mr. Fantastic. Perfectabilis. It's going to be a crazy show. They are actually coming up here to rub up against the black first ideology. So that's going to be a hot one. So tune in next week. 2 good shows next week, Wednesday and Thursday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on the TPOT YouTube page. So with that, I will leave you with 3 words, like I always do. Open your minds, and we are out of here, y'all.
Dark exit. We gotta stop this shit.
All right, cheers, y'all.
Peace, fam.
Think about this.
Peace, folks. We gotta stop this shit. Only from TV. Open your